So this arrived this last week from Walmart, and amazingly, it arrived in a box. In fact, I had some G.I. Joe stuff that also arrived in a box. Those of you who pre-ordered from Walmart in the past, I've come to expect them showing up in the little baggy mailer type things, but it was a full, nice box. And here we have our last Obi-Wan Kenobi. I could assume our last Obi-Wan Kenobi from the series. It's the fourth one. Can you believe they actually got 4 different Obi-Wans out of the series? I guess they could do like him in his giant cloak smuggling out Leia or something. But so let's see. They call this what? Jedi Legend. This is kind of the mythos idea. I remember Sideshow doing a figure of Mythos Obi-Wan, which had combinations of kind of old Obi-Wan and younger Obi-Wan from the prequels. Just a little bit of what we get here. Let's go ahead and open him up and check him out. So here we have our Obi-Wan. Take a look at that. It's a pretty nice head sculpt. I'm sure some of it's reused. I'd have to go check, honestly. He's got a soft goods, I guess, robe, cloak. I don't know what you call it. It is sleeveless, which is what we see him in the end of the show. Which the previous one had a sleeveless robe too. So, and his tunic and everything underneath. This is more like an Episode 3 Obi-Wan outfit. The belt's a little different, but you know it's very much an Episode 3 Obi-Wan. The boots are different too. But I could see them, because I can tell they're pinless, so it's obviously something new. I could see them modifying this to give us a new Obi-Wan. It's also interesting he has pockets. Never seen a Jedi robe with pockets, so that's kind of a cool thing. He's got some goggles hanging down here. You know, I remember that the Mythos from Sideshow I talked about earlier, it had like a whole backpack full of stuff, and you had like his Clone Wars armor and all sorts of stuff like that. Obviously, they're not going to go that far to do all that. Boy, this is hard to get these goggles up. You have to get it because they were underneath his hair. There we go. I popped his head off and pulled the goggles out and then put them up there. That was a little bit easier to do. They look pretty good on him. They fit really well. So we've got his goggles on. We'll see what those look like. So notice he's still got his gloves. He kind of had gloves on throughout the entire series. On his belt, he does have, I guess, just the one pouch. There's another pouch over here, but we do have a spot for his lightsaber on his belt there too. Overall, it's a pretty nice Obi-Wan. Looks pretty good. It looked good with the hood up. Hopefully I can get it back to that now that I pulled the hood down and messed around with it. Sometimes you do that and it just doesn't look quite right. Well, that looks pretty good. He does come with his lightsaber, which, you know, it's an Obi-Wan lightsaber. Not a whole lot there that you would expect to be new. And of course you can plug the lightsaber into his belt. I'd recommend taking the blade off when you do so, but I'm not going to do that for right now. Just showing how it works. Notice the tunic, the outside is kind of this rubbery. We've been seeing this more and more on figures, not all 6-inch figures. Kind of a rubbery overlay over kind of a generic body underneath. Probably just a better way to do things so it's cheaper. Finally, it comes with the T-16 toy that he gives Luke, which is a pretty nice little callback. I never noticed it had the little gun on there before, which is kind of cool because, you know, the Hasbro toy that we got back in, 1997, had the little gun on there. So I'll go back and look at, and I'm going to compare this to the 3 3/4 inch toy that we have, just to see if that had that there too. But pretty cool to be able to get that. I think he'll hold it okay. You know, so now what he needs is, well, I mean, the other Obi-Wans, they need a Leia to help protect, and he needs a Luke to give this to. Maybe he can hold it. Kind of how I pictured him holding it. Although I noticed that when I was doing this, the stand with the gun actually comes loose, and you can have just the little T-16 by itself without it stand there. It just has a little slot to plug that in. So we end up with a pretty nice Obi-Wan overall. I'm kind of betting that parts of this are reused for a future Episode 3 Obi-Wan. Obviously, I'm going to have to change the belt and the boots out, but the rest of it, I think, and well, the hands, not going to have the gloved hands, but the rest of the body would work pretty well for an Episode 3 future Obi-Wan. You know, the cloth goods don't always come out well, and yet they seem to do pretty good on this. Hasbro's been doing more with these hoods, so they don't look like they're just giant pieces of cloth like hovering over their heads. So holds his lightsaber well. Pretty nice. I think it's a cool little figure. So here's a comparison between the Black Series T-16 toy that we got plus the Power of the Force 2 from, I think this is from 97. So This is our Black Series 1 that we just got with the Obi-Wan. You can see the gun there. And you notice the Power of the Force 2 one does not have the gun on it. Kind of want to go back and look at the show in the movie and see if it's there. But they're pretty close in size. They're not the same mold, clearly. But they're pretty close to the same size. Of course, one's for 3 3/4 inch, one's for 6 inch. So it's kind of interesting. But kind of cool to see the differences between those two.